Yes, good morning.
Good morning, indeed. It's midnight here.
Oh, good.
Listen, I couldn't reach Lauren at all. They give me 3 days to get a phone call through to Saigon, and there's no way to get a cable through.
That's what they
But
told
I've
me.
talked to a lot of people here, and I can give you a report on what's going on there.
Okay, well, that's the next best thing.
Yeah. Okay, well, there is no fighting in Saigon. There's been no fighting at all. There have only been panic scenes by the South Vietnamese Army, and this is what everybody in Saigon is afraid of, is panic by the South Vietnamese Army, rather than invasion by the Viet Cong or the North Vietnamese. They took this afternoon, apparently, according to a North Vietnamese press agency, they took a town called Ton Ton, which is the capital of Bin Long province, and it's about 20 miles from Saigon, and it's the place where they stopped the Viet Cong in 1972. And it's supposed to be crucial to the defense of Saigon.
They lost that today?
Yeah.
Jesus.
So that would mean that they will take Saigon probably in the next week sometime. Nobody's panicking in Saigon. The chief worry is the South Vietnamese Army, and everybody says they're very disciplined so far in Saigon, but if one unit breaks, then it will all break. And it will be a Da Nang scene all over again with, refugees and soldiers looting and shooting in the air and stuff like that.
I'm not sure if
I think it would be very interesting if you came out and joined the crowd.
Yeah, that's sort of what I think, and maybe by
It's a
then...
slightly different perspective from what everybody else is giving it.
Yeah, maybe by the time I got there, something could have gotten through, or I could get a better...
Yeah. The thing is that you're not going to be alone, whatever happens. Because there are a lot of people out there. There's Lauren, the entire Hong Kong Newsweek staff is out there in Saigon, and everybody else is there too.
But is there a flight directly from... obviously...
Yeah, there are Air Vietnam and Cathay Pacific and China Airways are still running flights into Saigon.
So
you have a choice of 3 flights a day, practically.
That's nice. That's nice. Well, then I just come to Hong Kong then.
Yeah.
And go from there. So check it out from there.
Yeah, well, come on out here. You can get on the first flight to Saigon because nobody's very anxious to go in except for newsmen.
And most of them are on those 3 flights a day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you talk to Glory, because she's in touch with this Madam Bin in Paris, too.
Who's that?
Madam Bin.
Oh, yeah.
And so far she's being the most sane. The Times, according to Gloria, has a plane coming out tomorrow out of Saigon to take, they put it to all their South Vietnamese employees, if you want to get out, you get out on this plane tomorrow. Because they're obviously getting jumpy and panicky and want to, get people out before anything happens.
Well, I would just tell you flat out, I would not stay there without a pretty good feeling that I was going to get out on some plane.
Why don't you call Gloria?
Yeah.
She understands the whole situation the best.
All right, I'll just do that and I'll talk to you later on tonight.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
Okay, bye.
Okay.
Long-distance calling for Gloria Emerson.
Who's calling, please?
Hunter Thompson?
Oh, Hunter! I am so happy you're going to Vietnam.
No, wait a minute. I'm not sure I'm going yet. That's why I was calling you.
I spent most of the morning trying to call you because Jan said you were going to be in a 4 o'clock plane out of Aspen.
Well,
And I called this morning, and then I just couldn't keep calling, and I thought perhaps you'd call and I could call you back. What's happening with the visa?
Apparently you don't need a visa for the first 7 days.
Then get in there. Okay, they've changed that. That was my fault. I said you did need a visa.
Well, everybody else thought so too. Maybe this is just the last second thing.
Hunter, nobody wants you to go there more than I do. Do you have a little pen and a piece of paper for your paw to write things down?
Yeah, but I want to find out a few details from you.
Yeah.
Jan was assured today.
Questions, and then?
Well, Jan called, asked him to call whoever was running that evacuation desk I guess the Times, CBS, is apparently some sort of secret evacuation plan.
Not secret.
It's not? Well, in any case, they told him that under no circumstances would anybody else be allowed on it.
That's right.
Well, now, if you were me, how would you plan to get out?
I wouldn't worry about it if I were you.
You wouldn't worry about it? Jesus, I thought you were sane. I'm the one that's supposed to be crazy.
No, I wouldn't worry about it.
Well, why don't you explain that to me?
Well, I mean, the evacuation plane is for the Vietnamese personnel of the New York Times.
Oh, no, not that one. This is a press pool.
Yeah, okay.
It'll be the last plane out.
You did with Malcolm Brown.
Yeah, but what if there are no seats? I kick Mal off?
But Malcolm's not leaving. He's staying.
Well, he's not going to...
And it's going to stay, yeah.
Oh, no, see, that's what I wanted to ask about. You think it'd be conceivable if, Americans could stay?
Yes, of course. Hunter, look, I'm not being cute about this. You are certainly not going to be trapped there if you want to get out, because the embassy will always have to get you out. If you really are worried about this, then I wouldn't go, because to go there is to always take enormous risk. If it really gives you bad dreams.
Well, I don't worry about risk so much. I just worry about, just total suicide. The risk factor has never deterred me.
No, and you do want to go, Hunter, don't you?
Yeah, let's go. I'm not sure that I want to go and cover a long negotiation.
Well, that's the larger risk. I mean, one isn't sure now that they're going to take Saigon. A friend of mine, Cora Weiss, who has very good relations with the PRG, the Viet Cong, talked to Madame Ben twice yesterday in Paris. When I talked to her last night, the PRG is terribly anxious not to have their troops marching through. So they're hoping that Thiers will fall. But what you could still do, dear heart, is Fear and Loathing in the Last Days of Saigon.
Yeah. If it doesn't go on for 6 months.
You don't have to wait around for troops to march into Saigon. These are the last days of Saigon, as millions of Americans knew Saigon. I thought you would do a Fear and Loathing in the last days of Saigon.
Well, that's sort of the idea, but I didn't want to go over there and meet a bunch of people rushing for the last plane with me getting off of it. See Mel Brown and a bunch of people with M1s or M16s running toward the plane.
Hunter, there's so many things for you to write about. It's a real Fear and Loathing piece. You have to wait for Saigon to fall. Just write Fear and Loathing in the Last Days of Saigon. Go to the New York Times office and see all the things I've written on the walls, and that there's still a picture of James Sturba up there. You can write the piece from the New York Times office. I mean, you can write it in an area of 6 blocks. Stay at the Hotel Continental, which was an old French hotel. It represented the symbol of French dominance. It's funny and old and romantic and splendid. Go talk to the Vietnamese who manages it. I think his name is Mr. Loy. He's short and very round, and he's seen lots in his life. And be sure you know what room you're in, because all the Americans have very sentimental attachments to their room. I'm room 53, somebody else was room 17. And for a long time we thought of each other in terms of the rooms we had. And then just sit in the terrace where all the GIs and the hookers and the transvestites and the construction workers used to sit. And then, the guys there will tell you what the spots were where the GIs used to eat pizza and what the Vietnamese are saying now. And God, you've got a marvelous 4,000 words and you can get out.
When were you last there?
3 years ago this month. I guess I'd left. Yeah.
Well, see, I did just thinking of the Continental. I was trying to call Saigon all last night, and
Saigon?
You can't even call in from Hong Kong. Even the wife of correspondent there couldn't call in.
You never could. You could never call Saigon.
Oh, you couldn't? I just assumed you could. So I could get Hong Kong very easy. I just assumed you could call anywhere.
My dear, are you kidding? You can't even call Budapest. No, you can't call Saigon. The military had special lines set up. But the point is, there is a lot of fear and loathing now in Saigon. And it should be an awfully good piece to do, dear heart.
Well, I agree with that.
Stay at the Continental and go talk to Mr. Loy.
How do I know I can even get to the Continental?
What?
How do I know I can even get in there? I can't call anybody.
Don't think they're booked to capacity, I'll tell you that.
And how would I get a room?
What?
How would I get a room then?
You just go up and ask for one.
And even if they're booked to the capacity, they'll let me they'll kick somebody out?
It won't be booked to capacity. Because the Americans are all leaving.
That's what I kind of assume.
Yeah, so I don't think the Continental is going to be booked to capacity. I mean, once the big American crush got out in 1973, I think the Continental's probably been very empty. I don't think that's anything to worry about.
No, that was sort of an example of what I'm concerned about, things like that. Just,
I was a little worried about your arriving at the Saigon airport with your pockets stuffed full of stuff, so I thought whatever special little treats you had, you might put them some private place, like in the armpit or something, right?
Well, I think I probably wouldn't take anything in after what you said.
Well, dear heart, no, I don't think the searching would be too thorough. It used to be, but I don't want you to be cut off and miserable. And I don't know if that market is still the great market it used to be, right?
Well, I would guess not. Although there's no way to find out really what the hell is going on over there.
Well, the New York Times is carrying pretty detailed stories.
Well, unfortunately, I don't get
it. It's a dull newspaper, but it's goddamn good if you want, dull information.
But unfortunately, I don't get it.
What's going on is simply this, that Saigon is the only city of any importance that stands, the symbol of the Thier government. Thier must step down, but that's not the story you're writing. You're writing Fear and Loathing in the last days of Saigon. Because even if the troops don't get in, Hunter, it's still not the Saigon that Americans know.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know it. But,
well, I'm going to tell you some things about it.
Yeah, let's...
And you're going to pick it up. You're going to go and write about the remnants we left behind. You're going to try and stay at the Continental and talk to Mr. Loy. And you're going to walk up and down a street called Tudo, and which was once called Rue Catinat.
Tudo?
And, my dear, that's the equivalent of finding Park Avenue in New York.
How do you spell that?
Tudo. It's the street, and it's the street where you will live, and it's the street where the New York Times office was, and it's the Newsweek bureau used to be in. See, all the press offices are within 2 blocks of each other. It's not as though you're going to have to be racing back and forth.
Well, that sounds. You say where they were. There are no more offices?
Of course there are.
Oh.
CBS is in the Caravel, and NBC is in the Caravel, and Newsweek is in the Continental, and Time Magazine is in the Continental, and the New York Times is across the street at 203 Tudo, and all of this is within 3 blocks of each other.
So you would go now in my position without any fallback at all? Just...
Wouldn't go if I had your worries. Your worries would worry me too much. But being a dingbat, I would go,
Well, it wouldn't bother you.
Much more sane and conservative than I do.
Well, I surprise people sometimes. Not always. But,
You know anything about the war?
Do I?
Anything about Vietnam?
Nothing really firsthand, no. I know I've been...
Oh, you don't have to know it. Look,
I've been being gassed about the war ever since...
Snoop around the city and find out where the Americans used to go. Then if you can, Hunter, hire a car and go out to the Army base just outside of Saigon called Long Bin.
Yeah.
O-N-G.
Well, I know that. I'm not totally ignorant.
Yeah, Long Bin used to have 18,000 American troops there. Just describe what the hell it looks like now. We built these Army bases, and they looked like hideous movie sets, but the officers had tennis courts and swimming pools and clay pigeon shooting ranges. Furthermore, when you get to Saigon, a dear friend of mine named Peter Kahn, K-A-N-N, of the Wall Street Journal, who's written the best, funniest stuff in the world on Vietnam, will be there, and he will help you, and everybody will help you. Go to Long Bin, the biggest U.S. Army base in Vietnam, on Route 1, and see what it looks like. So much for the American presence, right?
I'd like to go to Cameron Bay. That'd be interesting, too.
You can't get to Cameron, dear.
I know. Well, unless I came down from the north.
What?
Unless I came down from the north.
No, Hunter, I know a lot about that. You can't come down from the north. The North Vietnamese don't take reporters with them. Cora Weiss is going to Paris with 108 applications. And it's absolutely futile. Just forget that.
Oh, yeah?
North Vietnamese do not repeat, do not take American correspondents with them when their troops move, so just forget that.
Oh, I thought Jan was under the impression that Tom Hayden could arrange something like that.
Well, you can certainly ask him, but then Cora will just have another letter.
Oh, well, that's...
Your story is Fear and Loathing in the Last Days of Saigon, right?
Oh, yeah, that's the only one I could write.
You have to go to Cameron Bay.
Well, now tell me this. What makes you think that Mel is going to stay on, for instance, or Lauren Jenkins? I can't reach Lauren. He's an old friend of mine, but I can't... I talked to his wife last night, but I can't get hold of him.
Well, you could never... You mean in Saigon?
Yeah, but what...
Saigon.
See, I was assuming that when things got, if it turned into another Da Nang, that there'd be a great whistle blown somewhere and everybody would rush to this secret rendezvous and the press charter plane would take off. But if that's not the case, if...
Get on the NBC plane or something, I don't think it's necessary, Hunter.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Why do you say that? You think it'll be safe to stay on?
Yeah, but I think if you're worried about it, then you shouldn't go.
No, I'm just asking. I'm just trying to determine the...
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I didn't think the North Vietnamese offensive would move this quickly either.
Nobody else did.
I mean, I think it would be safe to stay on because unless the Vietnamese start getting ugly.
Well, I assume they're going to.
Huh?
I assume they're going to. It just depends on how ugly. I'd rather not be the first person shot, but...
I don't think they're going to shoot you, Hunter.
Well, people have threatened to a lot, and some people have tried to.
Want to go, Hunter?
Yeah, I think I want to go, but I want to, know what I'm getting into. I don't want to go over there and...
The thing about Vietnam, hundreds of people have gone, and no one has ever been able to tell you what you're getting into. You know what I mean? I mean, that is the point about going. No one can tell you what you're getting into.
Well,
It's been this way since '65. For 10 years, no one has ever been able to tell a reporter what they're getting into.
No, but I'm thinking of, for all we know, the New York Times office is even now ablaze. I think the news seems to run about 12 hours behind. So, I think I'll probably go...
Quiet in Saigon today.
It was?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, I don't get that kind of information. I'd like to have at least,
If you're beaten to death by a group of enraged Vietnamese, I'll feel terrible.
Yeah, well, I would hope you would.
Yeah, but I was the one who insisted that there was only one man who could cover this story. And it's only a Saigon story, and it's a very great one, and only you can do it.
Well, I'll take that with 8 grains of salt. But, goddamn it, Gloria.
Are you to call me? Yeah.
What was that?
Jan told you to call me.
Oh, yes.
I just thought the Fear and Loathing in the Last Days of Saigon. I mean, you go to the Hotel Continental and you go to the press offices and you go to a place right near Trudeau, which everyone knows where it is, called the Pizzeria, and ask those ladies what's going on, the girls working there, and see if the pizza signs are still up. They used to overcharge GIs for pizzas. And you can get a few Vietnamese who will be sufficiently angry in a polite way and say that we've betrayed them. And you can write about the panic and fear and go see the enormous embassy building and whether the Marine Guards have put in extra ammunition and how they feel about it, right? See the big swimming pool they built behind the American embassy. See the palace.
I can even go swimming.
Where that bastard Cheer lives and the 6 helicopters on the lawn, and just walk around.
Oh, speaking of, what happened last night with that supposed coup? Did you hear anything about that?
Cabinet resigned.
But two, or however you pronounce the bastard's name, is still in charge.
But it won't make any difference to your story if he falls. We hope he does. You can still write what a swine and pig he was.
Yeah, I think everyone knows that.
I think what you can also do is get in a taxi or hire a car from the Carabel. They have cars and drivers. It's expensive, but do it, and go to a Conghua hospital. CONGHOA. It's the largest South Vietnamese military hospital, most revolting, disgusting place.
WHA?
Yes?
I'm just writing these things down.
CONG.
Yeah.
Goa, Conghua.
Okay.
It's outside of Saigon. Here's Cronkite. Wait, no,
Yeah.
this one.
No, I'm watching it too.
All right. Hunter, as soon as you get to that place, you'll soak up so much.
Let me just, why don't I just watch this, and once the Saigon thing is over, I'll call you right back.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay.
Hunter, look, if anything happens and you get stuck there and can't get out, we'll call Mrs. Bin in Paris, and I promise you won't be a prisoner of war. Honestly.
Well, I'm going to depend on you, as a matter of fact.
Right. But
after all this urging, I'm going to depend on you to come over and get me out.
Can't, because as long as there's the government of Nguyen Van Thuong, I never set foot in the country. I got an invitation to go to North Vietnam and then go to a liberated zone, but Mr. Silverman said, well, and then I would have been stuck in Hanoi, and Hanoi isn't going to let an American correspondent even go near the Ho Chi Minh Trail, let alone go south with their liberating troops. That shows how little we understand about Vietnamese communists. It's no sideshow for them, and they don't let the press tag along, right?
I would assume that. I don't know what the hell made Jan think that Hayden could get me right into Hanoi. He just said
But
that.
why do you want to be in Hanoi?
That was Jan's idea. I don't know.
Well, but Jan has an idea that a vast army is going to march. And you, of course, would march with him and couldn't speak a word of the language, and you'd die of exhaustion. And then what? I mean, they already hold the upper half of the country. What's the good of being in the north?
No, none. I didn't see any use in that at all.
Please discourage Jan. That's a very silly idea. You're already about
He has a lot of silly ideas.
days of Saigon.
Well, I'm going to say it to him and see what happens if they can get me.
Now, if anything goes wrong, Malcolm will cable the desk, who will call me, and I'll call your wife and say, look, he's been in the Hotel Continental for 3 days without food, water, dope, or clean socks, but that's all. Honestly, you'll be fine.
And we should be in Saigon, in Laura Jenkins' room, number 48 of the Continental Palace Hotel. This, I think, was the first day I got there. And I arrived at a moment when it appeared for a while everybody else was leaving. So, this is our conversation up in Jenkins' room regarding whether to leave or not. We'd only been there a few hours, and didn't know what the hell where I was or why. I really had no intention of leaving, and unless there was a general panic. So, I have to listen to this drunken bastard Tui, who, never mind, let's just listen to it.
That's the one factor we don't know. Well, I mean, the two factors, I think. One, we don't know the exact intention. Is the intention to come roaring down through here, or is the intention just to knock shit on the outskirts and try and make the inside crumble? And two is how fast they do it. And I agree with you. I mean, these are things one reacts, with the gut. I mean, it's instinctive.
It seems to me a central factor in all this. If it does crumble, whether you want to leave before it crumbles, or whether, I think if it crumbles fast enough, I just say stay. What I would hate to see is chaos and
prolonged crumble,
wild, angry Arvin coming through the hotel, shooting round eyes, grabbing the known how to start hiding your fucking possessions. At least not having them so blatant. But shit, I think the NBA gets it.
You think they're going to recognize the Gucci typewriter case?
Well, will be in turn for a few weeks or whatever, but I don't think they're going to pick out guys with American passports and execute them. Maybe they will, but the question is, where do you want to be? What do you want to do? And shit, we've got 4 guys here. We've got 4 guys here, and I don't know. Are we all committed to bug out or get out? Bug out is unfortunately a pejorative word. I don't know.
Well, I'm not committed to anything. I mean, my feeling is I just sort of gonna play it by ear as it comes, and at a certain point, if I'm not at the stage yet where I make the decision. I'd leave. I'd rather leave than get caught in a situation of anarchy here. Obviously.
Well, you're the first artillery things on the airport runway, and you can't get out of your own volition.
Well, that's the point that Don is making.
Go to the mattresses.
That when it
Go to
becomes
the mattresses.
obvious that you should leave, it will not be possible.
That's the problem. I mean, that's in effect what Don is saying. If you're going to get out, you better get out in advance, because when crunch hits, all they have to do is start hitting the airfield. There will be no more Air Vietnam or Pan Am, and then, depending on what the situation is, if there's anarchy in Saigon, the round eyes targeted.
You are listening to Our Country, a feature from The Voice of Vietnam with music and stories about Vietnam, the land and its people. Now let's enjoy some more music with guitarist Van Pung.
Major.
Yeah, we were talking about
Question of leaving.
whether to,
I just didn't. I wasn't in a position to interpret that 1,000 round or 2,000 round thing, but apparently that was very serious, right?
Yeah.
And they
because it really,
they were straight about that.
What the serious thing was not so much whether it was 1,000 or 2,000 rounds.
Yeah.
It meant they were zeroing in
So
on the
they-
headquarters of the 18th Division, which is the division defending the whole northeast sector. And if they decide to go in with 1,000 or 2,000 rounds, it means they mean business there.
That's what I mean. Yeah. They didn't try to fudge that over, or, you know.
I don't know.
I was there. I went to the briefing. They were pretty straight about it.
Am I wrong? Well, I wasn't there. No, I don't think they're trying to fudge it over. They don't.
No, they didn't emphasize it. Nobody was trembling, but they told the truth. But they did say 1,000 rounds. They didn't say 2. But as you say, anything over 500 is.
Anything over 100 is a lot.
Hell of a lot. I mean, when you're in a place where 100 rounds
I went to
come
see
down-
Ian and Ann before.
We're talking 130 rounds?
They said.
They're counting big rounds?
Really? Over 3 is what, yeah. That's
What do they-
interesting.
what do they
In private, they said over 3,000 rounds, so that's the same people.
Yeah, my assignment is not to stay till the end. I mean, I'm not going to be ducking my assignment.
Yeah, no.
This is really,
No, you know what
this
I mean.
moment here is really almost exactly what I came for.
Yeah.
This is the fear and loathing, right?
Any American staying here, and it has nothing to do with being a journalist or not, is then basically under the same criteria. I think, should you fall prisoner of the other side, should you be interned by the North Vietnamese of the PRG, you're probably better off being a journalist than being, a contractor for USAID or working for the CIA or the embassy, obviously.
Here, I don't have a fucking press card either.
Well, that's all right.
I suppose I could prove
Well,
it.
go back and get one tomorrow. Just be a little more patient. I mean, all you have to do is fill out some fucking forms.
Yeah, I
get
told you,
two
I was stuck
photographs.
just on general principles.
I agree, no.
So you got a little more options
Yeah.
if you want to exercise the option.
I think, as far as evacuation plans, as far as, what risks you face the same as we all do.
What are you drinking? You want scotchy?
Well, that's what really makes me
That's
nervous. Was they told me in New York that the guys that were here had a secret chartered plane. There was a secret word. They would all convene at some place.
bullshit. That's
Yeah,
bullshit.
if there is, I don't know the secret word.
Yeah.
We're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
There was no aspect of the necessity of combat in my story. And the fear and loathing in Saigon is exactly what we're doing right now.
What's all this fear and loathing shit?
Well, I mean, this is.
What is the fear and the loathing kind of thing?
Well,
Why the combination?
You're a
of
funny
words?
when I asked that. Oh, I told you I wasn't going to argue anymore.
Not an argument. I'm asking for an explanation.
If you can't see it by now.
What am I? It's like I'm talking to Norman Mailer and shit. Get me out of
You
here.
don't see a mailer over here.
What are we gonna do, Mark?
Yeah.
I think
Hunter,
Nick wants to
you want
say.
me to be brutal?
Yeah. I mean, well, why not? Just
I went to fucking PX today and picked up Playboy. And you know what they're running next month?
the mailer is here story. Oh, it's already out. The next month you.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay. No, I'm just putting you on, but.
Oh no, it's been out for a month.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it good?
I don't know.
What
I've
story?
read
Oh, you haven't read it?
What's true?
I've read it.
Mailer on the Muhammad Ali fight in Zaire.
See, that was the whole trouble. I had no interest in the fight at all. To me, boxing is.
Yeah.
joke
Why were you
wrestling.
down there or something?
Yeah. I just didn't write it. 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. Thursday morning. Saigon, Continental Hotel. Room number 37. Looking out the window at a bright sun in the trees. Let's see, what do we have? It's very quiet. Much quieter out here than it has for 2 or 3 days now. Just not half as many people and half as much noise. None of which actually reflects the panic of last night. But maybe it does. Just a hell of a slow down the volume on traffic outside the window. Yesterday it was about 20 people per square yard. I'd say 10. Now it looks to be about 5. I think the thing to do now is to find out just exactly what last night's panic meant. We got to the airport, see what it looks like out there, check by the embassy, see what they have to say. And try to get a decent idea of what or how bad the situation is. It's entirely conceivable that more people than the Washington Post got that message to cut and run. And then I just find out just what Oberdorfer has done about that. Now it's Friday morning. Second night in a row with no sleep, trying to get this goddamn lead written. Wondering where the hell I can possibly type it or send it. We had the Thursday night panic. We'll call it the Bradley panic. Then we had a lull on Friday morning, which was apparently embarrassing to the Washington Post people who decided, after Warren had told the Newsweek, and replied to the Newsweek evacuation order, that it was bullshit and he didn't feel like going out and did his people. And I managed to get some lighter fluid. I managed to some powder for my armpit rot. I managed to see Madame Novaton, her very elegant daughter, and her deserter son. Son being a deserter from the orphan, very sharp, very bright, good, speaks French, English, about 20 years old, daughter's about 15. Very friendly place. My new Buddhist name is Ming Tong. I cannot pronounce it, I must learn. The accent is on the down. Ming Tong means humanitarian gun. That was the monk's translation of my name in English, which is interesting. And I'm taking a shower. It's 8:05 on Friday. I worked all night. Got almost nowhere. And what I just thought was somebody stomping on the floor above me was actually artillery somewhere very nearby. The press had to shake the embassy, told me Ford's speech was on at 8 this morning. Turns out it's on at 9. So much for the embassy's evacuation plan. I just called Warren Jenkins upstairs and asked him where he was going to listen to it. And his idea is the same as mine. We should take it out to the patio, the garden, restaurant, breakfast place. Listen to the palm trees, the sound of artillery in the distance. There's no question that anyone who stays, once the run starts, is going to be in definite danger. Being killed. Not just fucked around and turned and killed.
How'd you hear it?
They called me from New York.
What's on?
Oh, about midnight.
And what?
Well, they were getting something out of, obviously the White House was leaking it, saying it was going to be a lot worse than anyone expected, and they expected a bad reaction in South Vietnam to his speech, and they had all been talking, and
I knew it got there. That's what I said the night before. What's that doing?
Huh?
I knew that. I thought it was paranoid the night before. I said that bastard. What?
What room number?
You want to do that now, eh? Is that important to you?
No.
How about some coffee first? Coffee?
Coffee? Roll back?
Well, let's have a bargain there. I'll give you my room number if you give me some coffee.
Yeah. Room number room here? Number room here. Room number? Hotel? Your room hotel?
Hey? Are you a secret policeman? I have no Okay, 37. 37.
Huh?
Who else got any word like that last night?
Washington Post.
Okay. I must have some coffee.
Okay. All right.
Only where it counts.
Well,
Where'd you go yesterday, Henry?
Hmm?
To get the rages?
No, I went up to I told you. Ben Hoa and took a plane out went north to see the emplacements and shit. And look pretty bad. Pretty tough. Yeah. I think they're ready to roll. I'm the one who called Cosner or Elliot.
You saw Bing Hoa, those great memorials of American architecture and planning?
It's already in flames. You're going to hear that on the radio. Is there any kind of news here? Any like bulletins? Do they have that stuff?
No.
I mean, if the orb had been broken around, we wouldn't know until we saw him.
Wishing you one and all a most pleasant Friday morning. Sorry, James, we'll be with you tomorrow.
There's no such thing as a news.
And here's a brief thought for you. Learned men carry their wealth with them.
Carry their what?
Wealth with them.
Learned men. Learned men. Vietnam. Saigon.
Yeah. Here we go. That's the breakfast show.
A brief thought for you. President's speech. Where did the word come? Was that ugly? From Bradley, did you say?
The President of the United States, Gerald R. Ford, will deliver a special address to a joint session of the U.S. Senate and the U.S. House of Representatives. That address, billed as a state-of-the-world
They had
foreign
7
policy review.
C-141s in there last night, which should have taken out the whole fucking embassy.
Said that President
did.
had described this address
no answer at all.
as the most important of his presidency. It is scheduled for 9 o'clock in the morning Washington time.
My prediction is we're coming back to war, baby.
And of course, it's not broadcast nationally by the radio and television networks and abroad by the Voice of America.
Communist emplacement 4 miles northeast of Saigon.
Speaker Carl Albert.
And high personal honor presenting to you the President of the United States.
We just nuked Hanoi.
Blaine Harry.
Something's coming.
But to build upon our many successes, to repair damage where we find it, cover our balance, to move ahead as a united people. Tonight is a time for straight talk among friends of where we stand and we are going. Human tragedy have befallen our friends in Vietnam and Cambodia.
Here we go.
Tonight, I shall not talk only of obligations arising from legal documents. Who can forget the enormous sacrifices of blood, dedication, and treasure that we made in Vietnam? Under 5 presidents and 12 Congresses, the United States was engaged in Indochina. Millions of Americans served, thousands died, many more were wounded, imprisoned, or lost. Over $150 billion have been appropriated for that war by the Congress of the United States. Consider the safety of nearly 6,000 Americans
about us, man.
Yeah, for sure. So I knew he was thinking about it. He would understand.
South Vietnamese employees of the United States government, of news agents, of contractors and businesses for many years.
War profiteers.
Lives with their dependents are in very grave peril.
That's it. To get to where we were yesterday, before we got Morton, do you want to go there?
Well, that's fine. But we print guys have to have some information.
Yeah.
Like what we see in which village. That's we or Z?
Yeah, what are you looking for? Staring down the barrel of a AK-47 or
No,
refugees?
It's just interesting to know how the situation stands today as compared to yesterday. If we can get further up the road, or if we can't even make it as far as, it gives us a pretty good indication of how things are going.
Are you likely to tell us or shoot us?
Well, I mean, we can tell if we're stopped at one place, they say, can't go any further.
10,000. Sometimes they don't tell you.
10,000. 10,000, what's that?
$10.
About $10. You got any money?
Oh, so it's going to get laid tonight.
I got some.
What road is this? What highway is this?
Bien Hoa Highway.
Bien Hoa? Oh, look at these. What are these supposed to be able to do?
Huh?
I mean, to slow things down a bit? These
Yeah.
55-gallon drums full of concrete?
Right, so they can take a look at you when they have surveillance up or checkpoints.
Oh. Are they,
One of the main entrances to Saigon, so they check it for infiltration half the time.
Yeah.
It's also a direct line of fire, isn't it, down the road? So.
Is it? I mean, what's it going to stop? It ain't going to stop a tank.
If you've got someone standing on, down here firing down the road, at least it's going to...
Yeah. Well, in either case, the road remains closed, though.
What is that town that Lauren said was on the way from Swan Lock to Bien Hoa?
Trung Bum?
Say it again?
Trung Bum?
No. Something like Lock or... Let's look at the map. What? These are refugees moving out of Saigon? Is that what... What's that... I've been awake for 2 nights.
I imagine a few people might be going down to the Delta if they come from there originally.
Yeah. One small favor. I've been awake for 2 nights. I'm totally full of dexedrine. So any jokes, my sense of humor is a little thin today, especially since we're going up under fire. Hey, Nick, how far is Swan Lock from Saigon? 40 miles? 80?
No, it's yeah, but we can't get there. We can only go about 50 kilometers.
50 kilometers? Is that where you were yesterday when you got mortared?
Well, we were 15 from Swan Lock. So it's maybe about 60.
Was it kind of a random thing getting mortared, or was it, did you just go too far?
It wasn't at all random.
No, I mean
they knew what they were aiming at. We were at the CP, you see, and all the officers were there with their radios, and they were calling in. There were tanks there, and they were calling in artillery. I mean, the guys knew they didn't know we were there, but they knew the Vietnamese were there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we attracted a lot of attention. I mean, they could see the antennas from the radios, and also, I mean, a chopper put down there. They picked up 5 or 6 of us and took us kind of on a little tour. One town burning about 5 kilometers away, a whole stream of refugees coming out down the road. So we kind of circled 2 or 3 times around.
How many journalists were there all in all?
Oh Christ, when Ron and I got up there were only about 7 or 8 others. We stayed there for about 2 or 3 hours, and by that time, the numbers had swollen to about, there must have been 40. And then some had drifted away, so I reckon there were probably about 30 by the time when the mortars actually came.
At least there is the whole task force of the 18th Division. Task force is really bigger than the...
I'm going to put my beer, and it's too late that way.
yourself, Nick, you hairy-legged motherfucker. How are you?
10 miles up the road. Considerable incoming is a quote. That was when this goddamn machine broke. Before I go back into Saigon, I'm in Hong Kong now. Before I go back into Saigon, I guess the day after tomorrow, I'm going to check the wires, check the stories, and maybe try to finish off that last tape for just a second. As far as I know, at Swan Lock, which was the place we were heading in the Jeep on Highway 1 that day, as the tape ended there in a flurry of gibberish and bad batteries. I went out in the Jeep with Nick Wheeler, a Newsweek photographer, and Nick Prophet, Newsweek Beirut bureau chief, who was out here helping out, as they say. And went up to, about 5 miles beyond the front, where earlier, or the day before, a bunch of journalists had been mortared. And I spent several hours up there. For me, it was the first time I'd ever even heard an artillery shell fired. And when they come in and hit, it's an unnerving experience. I'm sure that mortar fire right around you is even more unnerving, but I didn't have that. I missed that the day before because I had to stay in Saigon and get a press card from the government and get myself organized after the Wednesday night panic, which was what we call the Washington Post panic. I decided to stay on, and the Thursday night panic was the Newsweek panic. This apparently all stemmed from Ben Bradley and Catherine Graham, the government sources saying that they should get all their people out of Saigon because the end was nigh, which it may well be. And when you're out in a Jeep that continually backfires and boils over and stops on the side of the road in the midst of military convoys and hordes of refugees, yeah, you tend to think that maybe the world is about to come to an end. Walking through a roadblock, I didn't have the tape recorder had broken. A soldier right next to me began firing his M16 in the air, a machine gun, which tends to rattle you a bit. I've heard I have one of those things myself. It's not quite the same as having one suddenly fired at a crowd of 5 foot or 4'8" refugees when I'm a foot and a half taller than most of them and looking very different and obvious round-eyed, long-nosed betrayer. And things cooled off again. The cycle of panic and calm is so violent and so unpredictable. Although it is actually predictable. The panic seems to come at night when the calls come from the States. The calm actually comes in the day when you're working. When you're going out, it's sort of easier to be under fire than it is. Well, it's a very pure kind of fear or pure kind of situation. You know exactly, not exactly, but you know pretty well what's happening. Artillery is kind of impersonal. Mortars become more personal because the person firing the mortar can see you, or people firing it, and they know where they're hitting. And an M16 at point-blank range becomes very personal. The only thing more personal would maybe be a Bowie knife at 2 feet. And based on Ford, the prediction that Ford's speech is going to be so rudely received in Saigon that there will be an immediate anti-American eruption. Even by then, we've come to the point where even British correspondents were having glasses of beer thrown in their face in Saigon bars and An occasional drunken ARVN officer, either on leave or deserting, would appear on the Continental Shelf, the terrace bar at the Continental Hotel, and threaten the long noses and round eyes with vicious retribution as soon as possible. And you never know. It's you can never tell when some screeching freak might be the one who's going to do you in. To go back in now, after getting out fairly peacefully, is not quite soon. What I want to do after talking to Winter, finally, after trying to get him all week, is to do a short piece here in Hong Kong, get it filed, get the cable communication set up, the credit card. And then go back in for what I have to assume, what everybody else assumes, will be an extremely ugly thing, and probably not to come out with the airlift, the evacuation. The process yesterday of getting 100 and some odd Americans out of Phnom Penh in Cambodia was nothing at all compared to what's going to happen when they try to get 5,000 Americans out of Saigon, and God knows how many Vietnamese trying to get it on the same helicopters. The evacuation plan is 2 years old. It's dated December 73. It has not been updated to my knowledge. And as Nick Prophet says, all the bastards have to do is see an American, to know where the helicopters are going to land at the assembly points, is to see an American running through the streets with a suitcase in his hand and follow the bastard. So the general assumption is that only one helicopter will make it out, the first one. After that, the mobs on the ground will be so heavy that it won't matter if you get there or not, because there'll be thousands of Vietnamese, most of them armed in some way, many of them with automatic weapons, trying to force their way onto the planes, and it's going to be very difficult to get out. And as far as I'm concerned, I'd probably prefer to stay in if I can find a good place to hide, and I'm not sure just where the hell that's going to be. Maybe Madame Nobaton's house, that sounds best to me. Possibly the Continental with the rest of the correspondence. The embassy might be alright, if only because they're much better armed than they admit. I know that from talking to this Don Blankenship fellow on the plane over, who was being sent in to replace an embassy man who panicked. Yeah, meanwhile I have to get up to the Newsweek office and try to use a typewriter. It's 5:05 in the morning here in Hong Kong. I'm in this luxury hotel. From here you'd never know that there was a war going on anywhere at all. This place is the height of organized, business-oriented civilization. Not that I've ever been in a more organized hotel. The elevators arrive within 30 seconds of whenever you hit the button. Everything works. Room service is perfect. You can drink the water. There's a television set with 2 English channels. Radio with 2 English channels. It's like being in a Holiday Inn. A tall Holiday Inn. Or a Regency Hyatt house with no lobby. But Saigon and the Continental is something else. I kept my room there. I'm paying for it. Might just as well use it. And if the worst happens, well, it just happens. I've been pushing it for a while. About 10 years now, 15, 20. And I'm not looking for the end, but I'm not that worried about it either. I've had a good time. And made a few points. And I don't know if it really justifies doing kill crazy things or suicidal things. And if I really thought it was suicidal, I wouldn't go back in. But the fact is that it's not safe. And there are a lot of people who know the situation better than I do, who would call it suicidal. And they've all left and admitted they just didn't want any part of a suicide orgy. I don't think many of the people over there do, although I'd say there's an easy 10 or 20% who welcome it for reasons of their own. I don't have those reasons. I sort of like my life. I'm enjoying it. But I've come this far, and it's my story, and I blew the last one over in Africa, and I think I'll just run with this one, which means going right back into the eye of the storm. And it will be a storm. We don't have much doubt about that. The Reuters wire today, sappers operating within 5 and 6 miles of Saigon. I expect when I go up to the Newsweek office now that there will be reports of sappers operating in Saigon. When I get back, I expect to see them operating on the streets, downtown, Tudor Street, maybe even the Continental Shelf. There won't be any more fresh orange juice and gin with limes. I have no plan to get out, nowhere to go. Well, we'll see. Maybe the disaster will come before I can get back in. I have about 48 hours just to write this story and get it filed. And if the evacuation comes before then, well, I'll be spared. If not, I won't be spared. And I will go back. And this is probably the last war that I'll ever fool with. There's too much tension and too little news. There's no room for interpretation in war stories. It's a competition for to get the first lead out, the first bulletin. I've never been into bulletins. I don't know how to file by cable. I have no cable credit card. I haven't filed by cable since Brazil in 62 or 3. I don't know anything about deadlines, overnight leads, second lead. It's all gibberish to me. I just feel that this is something I should do. After 10 years of fighting this war over there in places like Berkeley and Chicago and God knows wherever else it was. And not really fighting it in an activist sense, but as a obviously biased journalist. And it seems like I should see it and be here for what that one correspondent called the last great Indochina reunion. But I'm sort of an intruder in that reunion, at least in their eyes, but fuck them. Nobody appropriates the story. People try to. If I go in there, I might be the last man into Saigon. Yeah, that might be pretty certain. Nobody's going back in. I mentioned that tonight over at Henry Aaronson's apartment, and the people eating dinner there were astounded that they seemed to think that I'd escaped. And the idea that I would go back was just stone out of the question. Impossible. Madness. Which it may be. After all, I have my room reserved at the Continental, number 37. High ceiling, big fan. Windows on the square. White couches. Christ, who could pass that up? It's the best hotel I've ever been in. So while it's there, I may as well enjoy it. I hope you have a nice basement. If not, and if not, who knows? Five minutes of 6 in the Newsweek office. Very dark here. Have the key, turn the lights on. Nobody else around, looking at 44 miles of wire, pink paper wire copy. First thing I see is that President Ford agreed to an unusual emergency meeting. The first of its kind since 1919. President Woodrow Wilson met the Senate Foreign Relations Committee to discuss post-World War, one peace agreement. A group of 14 Democrats and the first-term members introduced a resolution urging the President to withdraw all remaining American civilians from Saigon within 7 days, using only civilian aircraft. It's obviously to avoid introducing a military presence and the obvious risk of go with that. And here I am on Tuesday, 7 days from now will be next Monday. I'm making reservations for a plane flight in on Thursday or Friday. Which make it pretty close. Let's see. Do we have any, Ron Nesson says there's no written or verbal order to begin evacuating citizens from South Vietnam. Congress will not, Ford's request for $722 million additional arms aid expected to be defeated. Of course it will. God damn it, any fool would know that. Alright, let's run this back down the wire. I'm going to try to write a lead and I can get back to bed at the hotel. Moving around Hong Kong at night is apparently not quite as normal as it is in the States. Hotel that I was trying to sneak out with a bag. It took quite a bit to go to the hotel. But I managed to get up here and nobody else was here. I used Lauren's typewriter and try to write a lead and get back to bed for about 4 hours. Get up and get myself ready to go back in. Let's see, the news tonight, which is Wednesday night, meaning I have just tonight and tomorrow to get this thing done. Series of explosions at a bomb store here in Ben Hoa. Heard in Saigon, 30 kilometers to the southwest overnight, should serve to remind the capital of Ben Hua's importance to its safety. A bomb store, that sounds weird. Communist sabotage apparently caused the blast of the bomb store near the perimeter of the vast airbase, which shook windows in Saigon. I mentioned it shook a few heads in the Continental Plaza, or Continental Terrace. Government forces say they're using 105s and 155 howitzers with some success against communist heavy artillery. There's a picture of Queen Elizabeth coming on here. Chinese jabbering. And I am about to start to make my run here. The possibility of a massive attack has appeared imminent a few days ago when communist forces attacked Wan Loc provincial capital, 40 miles east of Ben Hoa. No, 40 kilometers. That's about 25 miles. That's where I was the other day. Let's see. Wait a minute. Yeah, there's a growing theory, which I suppose I might as well subscribe to, because it makes more sense than anything else, that... Oh, God, there's a bastard at the door. Oh, the whiskey, the whites, yes. And the last commercial airliner is still flying out of here. Air Vietnam, Flight 783, long gone. China Airlines stopped today, apparently. Can't really see which. This might be Gonzo here. It's probably not. It's more like Cameron Bay or something. In any case, we're
leaving Vietnam, and I have a feeling that I will not be getting back to it. I don't know why. Maybe I will. The evacuation fleet going to Guam does not interest me. I'm also flaky on speed that I didn't really do something terribly wrong anyway. The moment came, you got so goddamn dingy. And either better just to sleep and get seized. The ugliness of what we were heading for there was suddenly dawned on me when I noticed that we're running out of toilet paper and stores closing and more salad, drinks, whiskey shortage, cigarette shortage, even the in-house phones in the hotel not working. That kind of breakdown, it just makes life more and more miserable. Pretty soon they won't take piastres to pay the hotel bill. They'll have to demand dollars. Like last time, just as I checked out, they got the American Express card out. This time next it'll be piastres. That'll piss a lot of people off, so I'll have to pay at the official rate, which will be 8 or 9 to 1 difference at that time. Heading north to the South China Sea to Hong Kong, Vientiane, and I guess back to Hong Kong, Bali, God knows where. I just have a suspicion that we will not get back to Vietnam.